The following is a rewritten version of the provided stories, intended to create a more immersive and captivating narrative experience. The haunting glitch. My father's childhood was scarred by an event so harrowing, he never spoke of it until years later, and even then, only in hushed tones. I can still feel the chill that runs down my spine when I imagine it. He was 10, home alone on a lazy afternoon, watching his favorite show in the dim glow of the living room. The television, an old boxy contraption prone to fits, flickered and then fell silent. He got up, jiggling the antenna, and the screen flickered back to life. But just as he settled back onto the couch, darkness consumed the set again. This time, a knot of unease tightened in his stomach. He rose again, fumbling with the power switch, and the screen sprang back, only to die with a click moments later. By the fifth time, his heart was hammering against his ribs. He glanced around the room, the silence thick and suffocating. His gaze fell on the remote, and as he reached for it, his eyes darted to the corner behind the sofa. There, huddled in the shadows, was a man. His hair was a tangled mess, wild and greasy, and his eyes held a manic, predatory light. He held the remote, his thumb poised over the power button. A slow, chilling smile spread across the man's face. My father's blood ran cold. He scrambled off the couch, nearly stumbling in his panic, and fled the house, screaming until his throat raw. He ran to the neighbors, who called the police. When they arrived, the man was still there, waiting. He was arrested, and the officers speculated he was either homeless or deeply disturbed. The memory, however, left a permanent mark on my father's psyche, a shadow that colored his days in ways he never admitted. The narrow escape. My friend once shared a story that still gives me nightmares. She was 8, walking home from school, her key clutched in her hand. Her single mother worked late, so she was often alone when she got home. As she reached for the lock, the door swung open. Her mother stood there, wrapped in a dressing gown, her face pale and drawn. But instead of a greeting, her mother's eyes darted past her, fixed on something behind. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice sharp with fear. My friend turned, and there, retreating down the path, was a man in a long coat, vanishing into the gloom of the street. Her mother, it turned out, had left work early, Illinois. That unexpected absence had saved my friend from a fate far worse than she could have imagined. The House of Shadows. Jacob's childhood was marred by the chaos of his mother's addiction. One night, as he and his father slept, a cacophony of banging, scratching, and shuffling noises erupted from his mother's room. His father bolted upright, charging down the hall and slamming on the door. His mother, irritated, yelled at him to be quiet, claiming she hadn't heard anything. But something was wrong. The window was flung open, the TV had been dragged across the room, plugged in, and angled toward the window. His father's blood ran cold. He shut the window, locked his mother's door from the outside, and made her sleep in the living room. He stayed awake, vigilant, waking Jacob at dawn. They huddled in the kitchen as his father tiptoed in, his eyes wide with terror. He pointed at them, silencing them with a finger to his lips. From the roof above, they heard shuffling footsteps, pacing back and forth. His father gripped the baseball bat tighter. The sounds faded, but the tension remained. His grandmother was called, and they fled to her place. Later, as Jacob sat on the couch in silence, his eyes drifted to an open door in the hallway. A single finger, unnaturally long and thick, like a foam hand, curled around the doorframe. Jacob screamed, and they ran, never to return. The window in that empty room was open, but nothing was stolen. The bedside intruder. When I was 13, my bedroom was a world away from the rest of the house, a separate floor, tucked away on the opposite side of my parents' room. No one could hear what happened in there. One rainy night, I woke to the sound of the clock ticking, 2 a.m. A prickle of unease spread over me. At the edge of my bed, a round shadow loomed. My heart leaped into my throat, but then I remembered, it was just my hat, hung on the bedpost. I exhaled, relaxing back into the pillows. But moments later, the shadow was there again, closer this time. My mind raced. After the third time, I reached for my water bottle, but my hand closed around something else. My hat. And in that instant, my heart plummeted. The lamp flickered on, revealing a man's face hovering over the bed, his eyes locked onto mine. A shriek tore from my throat as I scrambled past him, racing down the stairs. I felt his grasp, fingers closing around my wrist, but I pulled free and slammed the door to my parents' room. We found my room empty, the window wide open. He had vanished onto the patio roof. The woods of terror. On weekend nights, my neighborhood was a battleground for manhunt, a game of hide-and-seek that consumed entire backyards and the woods beyond. We had a rule, never venture more than a backyard's length into the trees. One night, with only 6 of us playing, my friends Joe and Raj and I dispersed into the darkness. I dashed to my usual spot behind an old rusty barrel, expecting to hear the flashlights of the other team. But the woods were eerily quiet. Footsteps nearby. No flashlight. I whispered my friends' names, but then a figure burst from the shadows, sprinting straight at me. I scrambled back, fleeing into the open, but no one emerged from the trees behind me. My friends called my name from the front yard, Joe and Raj, along with the others, confusion evident in their voices. A police officer had just driven by, warning of a serial rapist spotted in the area. I told them what happened, and their faces paled. The police were called, but whether he was caught, I never knew. The thought of what might have happened if he'd caught me still chills me. The beach sigh. On a family beach trip, I rented an apartment at the end of the shore. The first night was unremarkable, but as I lay in bed, playing games on my laptop, a profound silence filled the room. Then, without warning, a sound ripped through it, an extremely loud sigh, so deep and heavy it wasn't human. My blood turned to ice. I bolted from the room, slept in the other bedroom, and spent the night wide awake. The next morning, my parents dismissed it as imagination, but I knew it wasn't. That sigh still haunts my dreams. The drunken intruder. After celebrating a job offer, I crashed at my friend Mike's place, utterly drunk. At 4 a.m., as I stumbled to the bathroom, I caught a glimpse of something in the corner of my eye, a single eye peering through the crack of the half-open door. A strangled cry escaped my lips, and I tumbled to the floor. The eye vanished. I stumbled to the guest bedroom, passed out, and woke to a splitting headache. My foot hung over the edge of the bed, and something icy cold wrapped around it, stroking it slowly. A raspy voice whispered, "Can you help me?" I screamed, bolting from the room, meeting Mike at the stairs. The police arrived to find a woman in her late 40s, clearly strung out, hiding in the closet. The eye had been hers. Now, I always tuck my feet under the covers. The Tahoe Phantom. On a skiing trip during a blizzard, I was woken by frantic knocking at the cabin door. Ignoring it seemed logical, but the footprints in the snow outside told me someone knew we were there. Curiosity, and perhaps guilt, overcame me, and I stepped out to follow the tracks. They led to the edge of the property, then vanished as if the person had simply stopped. Shaken, I ran back inside, but the knocking resumed. This time, when we opened the door, no one was there. The footprints were gone. To this day, I can't explain it. The holiday house intrusion. At a friend's empty holiday house, we returned late one night to find the gate open. I'd locked it earlier, and the wind couldn't have opened it. Inside, we heard footsteps and the back door being jimmied. Paralyzed with fear, we gathered our things, ready to flee. Just as we reached the front door, a deafening bang echoed from the backyard, followed by the screeching of hundreds of birds. We scrambled to the car, hearts pounding, and sped away as a figure darted from the side of the house. The boiler room stair. At 10, I shared a basement bedroom with my 1-year-old brother Ben while our parents painted. One night, he screamed like no toddler should. I rushed to him, and he pointed into the pitch-black boiler room. I heard a faint crash and felt an icy presence watching us. Snatching Ben, I fled, never to return. The basement, once a place of unease, became a place of terror. Each of these stories carries the weight of fear, the kind that lingers long after the lights come on. They are warnings, reminders of the darkness that can creep into the safest of places.